Ordinary, decent, right-minded people just cannot understand how the country's worst child serial killer can have the right to just stay in her cell during her sentencing.
Absolutely. It's cowardly behaviour on the part of Lucy Letby. She should be in court today to hear the victim impact statements, to hear the devastating effect of her awful crimes on the families, and the fact that that she can't be compelled to be there. It is frankly shocking.
How do you enforce that? How do you make somebody attend their sentencing? Because the rules have been beefed up. The CPS have been told them that they can use reasonable force, but it doesn't seem to be working.
Well, this is something that Labour have been calling for months. This isn't the first time this happened. The murderer of Zara Alina didn't attend court for his sentencing. The murderer of Olivia Pratt-Corbell didn't attend court for his sentencing. So the government knows that this is a real issue, and that's why we've been calling for legislation. There's a number of things that the government could have done. For example, giving the judge powers to increase sentencing where someone fails to turn up for the hearing. Now, that won't make a difference in every case, particularly where someone's going to spend the rest of their lives in prison. But you could also look at things like prison privileges, for example. And there's also been this suggestion that where a defendant refuses to attend court, proceedings could be live streamed into their cells. The reality is that the government have had months and months to deal with this issue. They've failed to act, and that's going to result in cowardly Lucy Letby not attending court today, and that lets down the families of the victims.
Would you be in favour of piping those statements into Letby's cell if you chose not to go up to the courtroom?
I think that's a really good idea, and something that should be looked at very closely. You know, this was a 10-month trial, and the families sat through the evidence, listening to all of it, and actually sentencing is the opportunity for them to finally have their voice and to talk about the devastating impact of her awful crimes. And for her not to be there could simply compound their grief. You know, justice has to be done, but it also has to be seen to be done, which is why having defendants at sentencing hearings is so important. We've got a victims bill going through Parliament at the moment. The government say that they want to take action in this area. They had the perfect opportunity to do that in the victims bill, but in fact that victims bill is completely silent on this issue, and that's completely wrong.
Ms Reeves, I want to turn to the economy now, and something that you're keen to do today is to try and associate the terms Labour Party and Friends of Business together. Now, a lot of people would immediately poo-hoo that and not see the connection, but do you think you can back it up with figures?
Yes, I do, and some figures have come out today that show under the last Labour government, business investment into the UK was £25 billion more a year than it is under this Conservative government. Growth averaged 2% under the last Labour government, whereas under the Conservatives we're languishing at the bottom of the G7 for growth. Labour did it before when we were in government, and we'll do it again.
How do you do it?
Well, we've got a number of things. First of all, economic stability is really important. Last year, we had 4 different Conservative chancellors, 4 different Conservative business secretaries. We also had the kamikaze budget that crashed the economy and led to thousands of people spending thousands of pounds more on their mortgages each year. So economic stability and strong fiscal rules is the first step in all of that. But then we've got our Green Prosperity Fund, our industrial strategy, our National Wealth Fund, all of these things giving businesses the confidence that they need to invest into the UK, so that once again we can see that growth. That's why we have got, as one of our missions in government, to have the highest level of sustained growth across the G7. And under a Labour government, we will deliver that.
Yeah, and speaking of the confidence to do the job, I see Sue Gray will be taking up her official role with the Labour Party from next week. And top of her agenda, Sir Keir Starmer wants to look at the efficacy of the civil service. He's not confident that the civil service can push through what he wants if Labour's in office next year.
Well, I welcome Sue Gray's appointment, and I'm sure that she will have a very long to-do list. I'm absolutely confident that Keir Starmer has the vision through our missions in government to deliver the change that this country desperately needs.